Hello friends, welcome to Edwiki Learning channel. Please do subscribe to get more updates on the DevOps concepts. This video is part of the full course AWS DevOps Practitioner training. Please do check the description below to get the link for the complete full course. Without further delay, let's get into the video. Thank you. Welcome back team, and we'll continue the session. And yes, so as of now the expectation is you should be having an AWS account and should able to create a simple EC2 instance and log into the EC2 instance using PuTTY or using the SSH command if you are using the Mac laptops. Okay, so initially since we are trying to understand certain basics, right? So there are few things that we need to just follow like that, right? Not to worry about too much why it is and how it is. So we'll be getting through all of those basics down the line when the corresponding dependencies are covered, guys. Okay. Well, so as part of that, today I would like to give you a few more details about AWS basics, right? So we'll continue on those things today. So quickly, I will go back to AWS Management Console. I will just go and logging into the AWS Management Console by clicking Sign into the console. Let me select root user, email, and the password there. Well, so any sort of questions, please do put it in the chat window, right? Yes, as we know that the AWS is offering multiple services, and out of them the EC2 is the service that we are working today, right? To understand how to create a required server on the cloud, right? And yes, we can go to the services there and select the category and select the service name, or you can even go to the search bar and search for the service name that you would like to, and select the service name, or the recently visited services are already showing in the list. I can just go and select the service name over there as well. Either way it is fine. So you just need to choose the service name, and it will take you to the EC2 service dashboard. The dashboard is all about showing the number of the resources that you are using in this particular service. As we know that the EC2 service has multiple resources, right? We already familiar that, like instances, AMIs, volumes, like key pair. These are pretty much the resources of a EC2 service, right? We'll see some kind of the numbers here, like how many instances that are currently, like how many hard drives currently. Hard drive is called as a volume from AWS terminology perspective, right? And you can see here how many key pairs that are currently created, something like that. So pretty much like dashboard is mean that it is showing the summary of the different resources and the number of resources that you are using today, right? Good. Anyways, quickly I wanted to create one EC2 server, and I have to ensure that I'm choosing the right region ID from the drop down so that your server and the corresponding resources will be created on that specific region of availability zones only, right? Good. So as of now, I'm using US East 1, and I'll go to the instances tab. As of now, I don't have any instances running. Good. Let me go and create an instance quickly, right? I'll just go to LANs instances tab. I might be repeating there and there some of the terminologies, guys, as we are new, and I'm just trying to recap the things as much as possible. Okay. So as we already familiar how to launch an instance, right? I'll go ahead and launch the instance quickly. I'll just give the name of the instance. Okay. So most of the times when I'm launching the instance again and again, I'll try to introduce some more new things, guys. Okay. That way we will be covering all the different fields that we are filling in this launch instance template or the form. Okay. So whatever the name that you give here, right, that is actually a tag from the AWS language perspective, right? This is called as a tag. What is tag? AWS is offering to add a tag for every resource that you are creating in the AWS cloud. It could be a EC2 instance, could be any other down the line when I'm going to create a few more in the upcoming lectures. So we are going to give the tag for everything that you are creating. What is tag here? The tag is just a identification key pair value that will help us to know why this resource is created, who created, when it is created, something like that. I mean to say, today if you create a EC2 server, right, down the line, how do you know that this instance is created for what purpose, who created, right? When it comes to the real time, right, let's say you have created one EC2 instance. Tomorrow, your colleague, your team member will come and see the instance. Okay, who created this instance? Why it is created? For what purpose this instance is created? All this information somehow should be there somewhere, right? Beyond that, there are few other advantages also there having the tags in AWS. I'll definitely talk about the other advantages having the tags, but how to give the tagging, at least to get start with, right? So usually the tag is the key and the value format. Here the key is name and the value is whatever you are filling in here. So by default it is offering you a key called name and you can give the value whatever you wanted to. That way the AWS will take this as a name of the instance. Please do confirm me guys on the chat window if you are able to hear me without having any issues. Thank you. Right. So here you can see the add additional tags, right? You can just click on this add additional tags and now you see this, whatever the name that I given, that is the value and it has the key called name. That way we know that, okay, this is the name of the instance. And I can give more tags as well here. You see that add a new tag. Let's say the key can be anything, like I'll say key is created by, and the value I'll say my name. It's up to you, right? What will be the key that you wanted to add? What will be the value that you wanted to add? Because the tagging is just for identification purpose, right? So whichever you feel that this key and this value will be more meaningful to understand the purpose of this server, you can just go and add whichever the key, whichever the value that you like it is. So here let's say I wanted to identify that this server is, what is the name of the server, who created the server. Maybe I wanted to have like application. Let's say I wanted to know this particular server is created for which purpose, which application. Maybe my requirement is, right, this is being used for @shopper.com, right? Like that, we can give some tags over there. Good. Now scroll down. As usual, let me choose Amazon Linux 2023 AMA from this list. I'm going with the Intel-based processor architecture and automatically the corresponding ID has been chosen there. Let me use T2.micro which is part of the free tier eligibility, right? I'll get one processor, 1 GB, that is good enough. Let me choose the key pair from the drop down, right? So here, one key pair you can use for multiple instances as well. If it's up to you, if you wanted to use a separate key pair for every instance, you can, but from the concept wise, one key pair is enough to attach to multiple EC2 instances, right? So I created a key pair the other day and I'm using the same key pair from the drop down. It is showing the name here, and uh, ensure that the file that was downloaded at the time of created the key pair, that file should be there with you. Then only it is possible to logging into the server later using the PuTTY or using the Mac SHS command, right? Or else you cannot logging in. Now, I'm not doing anything with the networking settings, configure storage, advanced details, nothing. Simply go and launch the instance. Well, I got one instance ID. Let me click on the instance ID. Now you will know the advantage of having the tags. You see now, whenever the server list is came here, you can select the server, and in the metadata section, you go to the tags. That's where you will be looking at the tags case. So by looking into the tags, now you will be aware of why the server is created, for which purpose, who created all this information. That how the tagging will definitely helps you guys. Make sense? Now, once the server is deployed, you will be getting the public IP. That is the IP that you need to use to logging in. As of today, whenever you launch a EC2 instance, the instance is priced for compute plus the storage capacity, correct? When I say compute, which includes the processor and the memory, and the volume, which is like hard drive capacity, right? And it is not going to charge anything for the IP address and other details as of today. Okay, so I'm just waiting for this server to be in running state. Yes, this is currently running state. Looks good. Slowly, I'm trying to inject more details, guys. Now let me come back here, right? So I think let me logging into the server first. I'll take the public IP. I'll go to the PuTTY. I'll give the IP over there. So basically, I can save the session as well. Like every time, like when I'm trying to logging into PuTTY, right? I need to give the IP, go to appearance, right? And I need to select the font, go to SSH, authentication, credentials, attach the key that was downloaded, right? So rather me doing all of these every time, I can save the session. Let's say this is DPT11 server, DPT11 instance, and click on save. That way the font and the key that you have attached will be saved in my PuTTY, so that I don't need to provide them each and every time and I'm opening the PuTTY, guys. You see now I'll cancel this. The next time when I open the PuTTY, you see the DPT11 instance is already saved here. I can just click on load and replace the IP. That's it. You don't need to attach the key and the font every time because those are already saved. The settings are saved. Just easy to use, right? Uh, when you are using the same key for logging in, and just click on open. Accept. As we know, EC2-user is the default username, and that here you go. Now, once you logged into the server, now it's up to you how you wanted to use this Linux operating system to make this configurable for your business purpose. My requirement is this server should work as a edshopper.com website. Like if anyone is accessing www.edshopper.com, this is the server responsible to send them the website, and that website should be loaded. That's my goal, right? That is the only goal that I have towards our lectures. Good. So what kind of the commands that we need to run here, how to make this it into a edshopper.com server? We'll do all of these exercises definitely. But for now, I have a question. Let me come back to this slide one more time, guys, because I wanted to talk about the shared responsibility model. Okay. So as part of the shared responsibility model, let's say if there is something wrong in the service provider's data center, who is responsible to fix that issue? Let's say there is a hardware failure, there is a data center issue, there is a power issue, something like that. If any infrastructure related issues are being occurred in the respective availability zones, then it's a service provider responsibility. If the corresponding hardware is failed for any reason, do you think your server will be running? These are all like logicalities, right? So as of now, I would say that my EC2 instance is running, right? You see that I'm able to operate. It is responding. When I'm doing something, it's responding. It's responding, right? Now the question for you guys, if the corresponding hardware where my server, definitely my server is running in the US East 1 region data centers, right? Because that is where I have set up my server. If there is an issue in the corresponding data center hardware, do you think your server will be running? No, right? Then your server will not be responded. You cannot logging into the server. Though you log in, it will not work for whatever the reason, something like that. Good. The second thing, sometimes your service provider side, the entire data center, everything is working fine, no issues. But maybe there is some issue in the configuration of your operating system level, and your operating system is broken. You got me? What I'm trying to? Let's say I run some bad command. I destroy some data in my server, and that is causing some issues. Who is responsible for that now? In shortcut, my question is like, if there are some issues in the operating system, because once you logged into the server, you made some mistake and you made some uh, you ran some wrong command, you misconfigured this operating system, something has happened and your server is unstable, it is not working, it is not running, whatever it is, right? So who is responsible for that? Do you think AWS is responsible to fix that kind of the issues? No. So the shared responsibility model, in the sense, AWS is responsible only to give you the server. If you are able to logging into the server without having any issues, then AWS part is completed, guys. Later on, it's your responsibility to make them configurable, accessible, like do whatever you wanted to. If you're doing something wrong in the system, right, then it's your responsibility. Make sense? Okay. The reason why I'm bringing this topic, right, if you come to the EC2 management console one more time and look into this EC2 server, somewhere you can see the status check and 2x2 check passed. What is this? So the same thing we can see in the metadata section as well under the status checks here, and you see there are two checks that are happening here. One is the system status check, one is the instance status check. Basically, the AWS is validating the server is good or not, right? So the system status check is all about whether the health checks are good from the AWS side of world, from the infrastructure side, like the data center side. If everything is working fine from the hardware perspective, then the system status check will be green color, right? Let's say the background hardware side everything is good, but there are some issues at the operating system level and your system is not stable, not healthy, not working for whatever the reason, then the instance status check will be in a red mark. Like as of now it is green because both are good. So can I use this statement at this time, guys? Your instance will be healthy and operative only if the system as well as the instance both status checks are showing green color, correct? Agree with me? If either one of these checks are showing red, that means your instance is not healthy, your instance is not operatable. You can't log in basically, correct? That is what it is showing, like 2x2 status checks pass. Always ensure that your instance is showing 2x2 check pass. If it is showing 1x2, what is 1x2? Out of two checks, one is failing, either one. If it is instance check fail or it is system check fail, either the way your instance will not be operatable. Now, can I use this statement at this time? If this is the if this is the system status check fail, who is responsible, guys, to fix that issue? Ideally, if the problem is with the if the problem is with the system status check, this is more or less the AWS side of issues, maybe some hardware issues, correct? If the problem is with instance status check, then that is our issues. Agree with me? I mean to say, how to understand that the problem is from AWS side or the problem with our configuration side. That's where we need to look through these two different checks, guys. Help me, guys. I'm trying to use the statement like, if the instance has to be running healthy, the both checks should be good, right? The system status checks are more or less the AWS side hardware issues, and the instance status checks are checking the software level issues or OS level issues. System checks are related to AWS hardware. Instance checks are related to the OS configuration side. Let's our own configuration side, something like that, right? Now, let's say for any reason, if the system status checks are showing some red mark, how do you fix the problem? Got me? As of now, it is green. If this is showing some red mark, definitely you cannot log in into the server. Login will fail, right? Because the system check is failed. How do you fix the problem? To fix the problem, there are two ways. What AWS says, right? If at all the system check is failed, you please stop the server, right? If it is showing 1x2 state over there and the system checks are failing, right? You stop the server, you wait until the system is stopped. Stop means basically shut down, right? Even you can see here, the connection is gone. It is telling that the system will power off. It is going for shutdown. Done. And then again you start the server. That's it. That should fix the problem. AWS says that whenever you stop and start the server in the AWS data center side, AWS will automatically take care of running your server in the healthy hardware from the non-healthy hardware. If there was some hardware issues, they will try to bring up the server on the another different hardware, and that's the reason stopping and starting the server may fix the problem if you are seeing any kind of the system status check failures. Are we good with that? Now, even if you see the instance status check fails, still you try to stop and start the server if that may fix the problem. If not, we need to go with the different other options to fix the problem. We'll see what are the different options are there to fix the problem if you are seeing any instance status checks case. I'll talk about more how to fix the problems down the line after covering few other dependencies. Now, if it is showing system status check fail and though you stop and start the server, still let's say it is not recovered, it's not working as expected. What will be my next step? I have to ask my AWS, right? Hey AWS, I have created one server, it is not running fine. I could see that the system check is showing red mark. I tried stop and stop, but still it is not working. Can you please check? Correct, because this is something AWS has to check in their data center why the hardware is fail and why the server is not running, correct? How do you contact the AWS in that situation, correct? So not only for this reason, if you think that anything that is something related to AWS has to help us, you can contact the AWS by creating a support ticket, guys. You go to your profile icon there, right? And you can look for, sorry, it got moved here. You see the question mark symbol there, that is for help, and click on support center. Right? And here you can see you are looking for the support for technical or billing related. What kind of the category it is. Select the category like technical and click on create a case and technical. So this is where you will get a form basically. There you need to fill up the details. Say I created this server, the server is not running, it is showing system check is failed. Please help me to fix the problem. So AWS people will fix the problem for you guys. Like that, you can create a support ticket with AWS. Not only for this issue, as I said, it could be anything that you need help from AWS. You are good to go and raise a ticket here, guys. Hope you are following me. Now, usually you'll get a form like this. For which service you need a help, right? And what is the question, something like this. For now, I'm not getting when I select the technical here because I'm not part of the support plan. You see this? Technical support is not available for the basic support plan. We are using the free tier account, right? We don't have a support plan. So you cannot create a ticket with this account, right? So, but I'll show you what are the different support plans are available. Here you can see that currently I'm using the basic plan, but if you click on change, you see here. So currently I'm using basic where you don't have option to contact AWS. But if we use a developer plan, right, it is possible to create a ticket and get the help, which is $29 per month is the costing. If we use a business plan, which is $100 per month costing, and you will get a better support, right? So like that, you can see the enterprise as well here. So in real time, definitely the companies are opted for any one of these plans. So you are having the eligibility to create a ticket and ask the AWS help, guys. Here we can't because we are using the basic where you don't have option to create a ticket with them for technical help. Are we good with this? Now come back. But if you have any account or billing related, let's say you got so much bill for whatever the reason, you wanted to get it clarified. Yes, you are good to go and create a ticket. Select account and billing, let's say billing related question, right? And let's say I want to, you know, dispute a charge. I don't want to expect that, but I got some billing. Go to next, and here you fill up the details why you are creating a ticket. Click on next. So AWS will definitely respond back to you on this case, guys. That's how we need to contact the AWS support in real time. You don't need to ask any manager or lead to request the AWS support help. We can just come and raise the ticket and get the help from them. No issues. Good. Now let me go back to my EC2 one more time. Well, so that's about it. Now I created a T2.micro EC2 instance, right? Sometimes, when I'm creating the instance, I would like to know how much that I need to pay. Getting me? Of course, the T2.micro is a free tier, but when I when I talk about the real time, right, we'll not be working on the free tier limitations, right? We'll be working on beyond the free tier limitations, and the company will be paying for running these servers, right, to run their business, correct? So usually in the real time, your manager wanted to know if this server is running for 1 month, how much bill that could be generated, how much bill that the company has to pay. They are curious about to know the estimated at least. Got me? They should not get surprised that, oh, this much bill is generated for this server. No. That's the reason whenever the manager is asking you, hey, can you go and create a server? Before that, they will ask you, can you tell me what will be the estimated bill for this server if this is running for a month time? Based on that, they will take a decision whether they have the budget or not to run this server. Got me? How to give them the estimation, right? So all what you need to do is go to the AWS pricing calculator. This is just a estimation, but not 100% accuracy. Right? So here we can see that the AWS pricing calculator, which is calculator.aws website. Click on create estimate. So like I wanted to know the estimation for US East 1 region. I wanted to know the estimation for EC2 service. Select the service here from the list, right? So I wanted to know the estimation for one server for Linux based EC2 instance, right? There are so many options here, but let me quickly give you some. Let's say I wanted to know the costing for the server called T2.micro. I'm searching for the instance type here. I can see that here. You see somewhere here, total monthly cost. So that is how you get some estimation, guys. That is something that you need to give to your manager. Then if they are okay for this, they'll give you the approval. Okay, we are good for this budget and go and create a server. If not, they will ask you, hey, look like we can't afford this budget. Can you come up with a different capacity? So maybe you need to look through a different instance type. Let's say T3.micro, what will be the cost? Like that, right? So we know the different instance types, right? So we need to do the pricing analysis and give the estimation. Good. Now, if I look through one more website here, it's like documentation basically, right? Well, so this is the EC2 instance types documentation where you can see all the different instance types that are provided by the AWS. So here you can see that the instance types are actually categorized as general purpose, compute optimized, memory optimized, and some few other different types, guys. I'm sure you might be having a question to me that on what basis we will be selecting the instance type, correct? Should we be going with the T2.micro or T3.micro or something else? How do we decide which instance type will be best optimal for us, correct? So there is no straight answer for this question, but we'll try to get more knowledge on this down the line as well. But for now, what I would say, right? So the general purpose is the category which has the couple of instance types that you see in this list. All the instance type that you found in the general purpose are balanced the processor and the memory capacity. Like they are having the equal priority for processor and the memory. That's how the AWS has maintained this general purpose. So you will get like equal amount of priority given for processor and memory. Let's say for your business purpose, I don't need too much memory. I don't need too much processor. I just need a moderative. I need a processor. I need a memory. I need both. In that kind of a situation, you go with the general purpose. That's the general idea. Sometimes, some of the businesses will need more processor. Hey, my business need lot of processor, but less memory. If that is the kind of the business behavior, then we go with the compute optimized category where all of the instance types that are showing under the compute category section will give you higher processor, less memory. If you go with memory optimized category, all this instance type will be giving you like more memory, less compute, right? Like that. You see the accelerator computing, which will be giving again like more, more performance. And there are a few other categories as well here, guys. Okay. So that's the general idea on what basis we will be choosing the instance types. But down the line, we'll talk more and more how to finalize the instance type that we are looking for based on our business needs. The reason why I'm not giving the straight away answer now, because selecting the instance type will be proportionally equal to the business behavior, correct? I can't go and take one instance type randomly, right? You need to understand the business, what kind of the business it is, what kind of the website that you are trying to run, how many number of users are accessing my website per a minute basis, correct? You need to know all of this information to answer this question. Agree with me, guys? Why I'm not giving the right answer or a static answer now? So to understand the business behavior, to understand what kind of the business that we are running in, it takes some more days for us to go through. That's the reason we'll keep on revisiting this, how to make sure that we are running the right instance types for our business needs. For now, this is good enough to understand the compute optimized, memory optimized general purpose and how AWS is helping us to categorize them and all these things. Good. Whatever the instance type that you choose, just do the pricing analysis and give it to your manager. If they are okay with the budget, then you will be going and creating the instance there. Coming back to here. Maybe, yeah, coming back to the pricing calculator. You see here the choose region. Why do I need to worry about the region? Let me see the region selection criteria, guys. Right? So on what basis we need to choose the region. That's also a valid question, right? Is there any difference in choosing the different region to have my server up and running there, correct? So let me give you a few points here. Point number one, right? The EC2 service that I'm referring here is a region selected or region specific resource. What does it mean? All the resources that you created today, like instance, key pair, all these things, right, will be valid available only in US East 1. The moment when you go to different region, you cannot see any of the EC2 resources that you created some time back. You see now, it is showing that no instances. Why there are no instances? Because currently I am in Ohio region. Got me, guys? So anything that you create related to the EC2 service or region specific, those will be available on that specific region dashboard only, on the specific region AWS console only, not available on different regions here. Even in the Ohio region, let's say you are trying to create an instance, AWS will be creating the server on the Ohio region availability zones, right? Those data centers will be being used to create it, correct? So here, let's say when you are trying to create a server on the Ohio region, you see that the key pairs are empty. It is not showing any key pairs also. Why? The key pair that I created some time back that was on US East 1 region will not be available in this region. So now can I use this statement, right? When it comes to the EC2 service, which is a region specific, so nothing is shareable. Whatever you created in one region will not be usable in another region, guys. Does it make sense? Now, then how do I choose the region? Should I be creating my server in US East 2 or should I be creating it in US East 1? Which is the best region for me based on my requirement, correct? To select the region, there are 4 conditions that we need to go through. The number one is pricing. AWS says that the pricing is not the same in all the regions. For example, here, when I'm using US East 1 region, I'm getting something called 3.80 USD. Sorry, USD. Let me go for US West 1. You see now, the pricing is 5.18 USD. So what is that it is proving? The pricing is not the same across all the regions. So whichever the region that you feel better comfortable for the pricing, you won't choose the one. That's how it works. Ideally, compared to all the regions, US East 1 is the cheapest. The pricing is low in US East 1 region compared to any other region, guys, because that is their primary region for AWS, guys. That's the pricing difference. The second reason which we need to consider here to choose the region is latency. What does it mean by latency? Whenever you created a server in the specific region, right? What does it mean? AWS is actually creating a server on their data centers, right? And now you are accessing the server from your location, correct? Let me use this particular slide to make this clear. You see this? So AWS is actually maintaining a data center, and that data center is like cloud service provider, what I'm trying to, right? And they have given us a public IP and I'm using that public IP, and over the internet I'm actually logging in or accessing the EC2 instance, right? Let's say my server is in US East 1 region. My client who is accessing the server is in, let's say, India. Now How far it is, guys, between the client and the server? Too much, right? Because the client is from different geographical region, the server is in different geographical region, so definitely there will be a huge latency to reach the server, to access the server, correct? Maybe that is not a good idea. What is the case now? Let's say if the client is in India, rather me choosing the server to be created in US East 1, what is the case if I choose the region within the India? Does that make sense, guys? Then the distance will be less, right, between the user who is using the server and the data center where your server is actually created is less. Obviously performance is good, right? Less latency. That means, so try to see who is using your server, from where, from which region more number of users are accessing your server, and then try to, choose the nearest region so that the performance will be good, latency will be less. That's the second thing that you need to consider to choose the region, guys. The third one, AWS says that whatever the features that you see in one region may or may not be available in another region, guys. Okay, let's say here I'm in US East 1 region. In the left side, whatever the options that you see, all these options may or may not be available in another region. So which feature that you are trying to use, see if that feature is available in which region, and go and choose that one. That's how it works. You may be asking me now, like, why a feature will not be available in all the regions? The only reason is whenever AWS is introducing one new feature, they can't make it available in all the regions at day one, right? First, they release it in one region. If it is all going well, they slowly, release that feature in other regions as well. So definitely it takes time to have that feature available in every region. Got me? Now, US East 1 is the region where they are releasing their features at first case. That means definitely any feature that they are rolling out will be available on US East 1 at day one. The other regions will get later times. So if you are really interested to have the latest features from the day one onwards, you better go with the US East 1 region compared to any other region, guys. That's how it works. Maybe this is the example. Here you can see that console to code, this particular tab, I'm not finding it in another region. Maybe if I go to US West 2 region, you see that that option is not there. That's how there will be differences, right? The new features will not be rolled out to other regions immediately, guys, right? Being said that, I recommend you use US East 1 region throughout our lectures for all the lab practices, because I'm sure whatever the features that I am delivering in will be available in US East 1 region. It may not be available in other regions as well, right? Good. Though a lot of theoretical, but all these points will definitely help you guys to, or while you're taking some decisions in the real time when you are working on. The next point. Let's say I'm trying to make my business, right? I'm okay with US East 1 region, less billing, more latest features. I'm okay with the latency also, good. But what kind of the business that you are running on the server is also important. If you are running the business which will be holding some data related to the country people, there is a rule that your country people data should be resided within the country. Got me? As an example, right? So maybe you are running a not a shopper.com. Assume like you are running one government official website. That website is holding some no country people's information like their identity, right, and other information. Correct? So can I store that information outside of the country? Ideally, no. So as per the data regulatory requirements, right? There is always a rule. This type of the country data should be resided within the country, not to the outside world. Correct? If that is the case, then you have to be choosing the region within the same country only. You can't go out of the country. Is it clear, guys? If this is like adshopper.com, like a shopping portal, I don't care where is my data. Correct? The shopping portal has some product images and other information, right? That I can store anywhere in the world. No one will care about it. But a website like a government websites having some important sensitive information, right? That data should be storing in the server where the server should be within the same country only, right? So that's the other reason why and how we need to choose the region. I think I'm done with how to choose the region with the 4 different options: pricing, latency, features, and the data regulatory requirement. These are the 4 that we need to consider when you are actually choosing the region. Of course, in the real time, we will not be choosing the region. Like choosing the region, that decision definitely not your hand, but at least we should know all this information, right? Why we are using this particular region, right? That's the reason I'm giving some more information, guys. Good. Now, let me logging into the server one more time. So here I'm taking the public IP, guys. My public IP is ending with a 95, correct? This is terminated. Done. I'm able to log in. Don't worry about all these things. Why it is showing something like this, all these things, right? As of now, let it be. I'll slowly, come to all these different small things as well. Now, so make a note of this IP address. The IP is ending with a 95. This is called as a default public IP that the AWS has given for your server. This IP will be useful to logging into the server from your putty kind of tools. Then I can use this server for my business purpose. What is this IP? How IP? Why IP is looking like this? All these things we'll discuss later in the IP section. But for now, just take this IP and logging into the server. Well, so what I'm trying to convey here, the default public IP that AWS has given is a temporary IP in the sense whenever you stop the server, AWS is actually taking out the IP address. You can start watching the behavior, guys. You see now the instance is currently stopped and you see that the public IP address has got disappeared. And again, don't worry what is public IP, what is private IP, what is this number. I'll every section whatever you see will take time to come to that level, guys, right? I'll try to cover all the options whatever you see here, but it takes time. For now, let me talk about this. Now whenever you start the server, again the AWS will be allocating a public IP for you. So can I use this statement at this time? Whenever you launch a EC2 instance, usually AWS is allocating a default public IP for you, which is a temporary IP, means that the IP address will be changing when you stop and start the server. You see now I got the IP with 196. Thanks for making a note in the chart. Now I got a new IP which is ending with a different number. So now can I logging into this server using the old IP address? No. This server is got terminated. Now I need to use this latest IP address for logging into the server. I can't use the old IP address. So let me take the latest IP ending with 196 and start logging in. Then I'm logging into the same server only. The problem is the IP got changed. That is not expected, right? I don't want the IP to be changing because every time the IP changes, whoever is using my server has to change the IP from their end. Do you think this is feasible when it comes to real time? No. When it comes to real time, right? I don't want this type of IP changes. So if you want to get a permanent public IP, I don't want this type of changing IPs, then you need to use the IP called elastic IP. In the left side navigation, somewhere you can see elastic IP section, right? The elastic IP is the public IP, which is the permanent IP for your region, which will not be removed though your server is stopped. As of now, the public IP is getting removed when you stop the server, right? If you use elastic IP, your IP will not go away. It is permanent IP for your region. If you want to use the elastic IP, go to elastic IP section, click on allocate elastic IP. Let it be all the default options. Don't do any changes. Click on allocate. AWS will randomly generate one number, one IP for you, and this is called as a elastic IP address. I just have created a elastic IP at this time, but this IP is not being used by anyone. You see this associated instance ID is showing hyphen. That means what? I have ordered one elastic IP, I got the elastic IP, but this IP is not yet used. That means if you want to use this IP to access your EC2 server, you need to attach this IP to your server. Got me? As of now, this is not attached. This is not associated to your instance. If you want to use this IP for your server, select the IP, go to action, click on associate, select the server from the drop down to which server you wanted to use this IP and remove, like, don't do any other changes. Click on associate. That way this elastic IP will now be associated to your server. Now I can use this elastic IP for logging into the server from the PuTTY. You see it is working. So I logged in using the elastic IP. Now this IP is permanent. Though you stop the server, though you terminate the server, your IP still be there. Now, do I need to pay for this IP? Because this is something you are explicitly ordering, right? Hey, I want a dedicated static permanent public IP. Yes. So the AWS says that as of today, if you have taken the IP address but you have not attached the IP to any server, then you have to pay for it. If you taken the IP but you are using the IP by attaching to any one of the server, then you don't need to pay for it. Now, a question for you guys. At this time, my IP is actually attached to the server. Do I need to pay for this? No, because you are using the IP effectively. But let's say I'll release the IP. If I go to release, it will detach it from the server. Sorry, deassociate, right? If I deassociate, that means I'm going to remove this IP from the server. I can attach and I can detach it. You see now, my IP is not attached to the server. Now I can't use this IP for logging into the server because this is no more attached to the server. But do I need to pay for this now? Yes. Why like that? The only reason is these IP addresses are public IPs which are unique in the world, guys. No one else in the world should have the same IP address used for their instances. That's how it is like unique because I'm using this IP in the internet, right? If the same IP is being used by different people, it will be a mismatch, right? It's very hard to get a unique IP like this for your server, right? So like AWS has to generate a random number which will be a unique key for your server, correct? That way it will be a unique key in the world. It's very hard to generate something like that. That's the reason these IP addresses are very limited. I don't want, or like AWS don't want these IP addresses are wasted, just you have taken and you are not using it. What I'm trying to? It's like a phone numbers. Your phone number is unique in the world, right? How many people are using the phones? Everyone should have their own number. The the cellular provider, the network provider should ensure that they are generating a unique number for each and every individual. It's very hard for them to generate a unique number. What is the case? I go and purchase some 100 numbers and I'll keep it with me. I'll not use them. Does that make sense? No, right? Unnecessary some 100 numbers are being wasted. You are not using it and they can't use them for others also because they are really allocated, right? That's not a good case. So they are ensuring that whoever is using the IP, they are really utilizing it. If not, hey, pay for it. At least you will not misuse the IP addresses because IP addresses should be a unique in the world. At least the public IP that I'm talking about at this time. Make sense, guys? Now, if you wanted to know what is the charging for IP addresses, again, you go to the pricing calculator and look for the elastic IP price. That should be fine. Okay. So usually if you get into the elastic IP related documentation, you will definitely get all that information on what basis the AWS is going to charge. I'm trying to show you something, guys. This one. Starting from 2024 February, AWS is going to charge for all the public IP addresses. Single statement. What does it mean? I said like if you are using the IP for your server, don't pay. If you are not using the IP, then you pay it. That's the statement that I delivered, right? That statement is valid till February 1st, 2024 only. From that date onwards, whether you are using, whether you are not using, whatever the case, if you are using the IP, you pay for it. That is how the things will be changing, guys. That's where I wanted to highlight this statement particularly. Make sense? Yeah, as of now, yes, you don't need to pay if you are using, but yeah, start from 24, all IP addresses are chargeable. Now, whenever you don't want to use the IP, first you deassociate the IP, then you just go and release the IP. You see here, release the Elastic IP and click on release, so that that IP addresses will be disappeared from your account. You see, IP is gone. There is no expiry for the IP. You take the IP. If you don't want it, you release the IP. As long as the IP is in your account, you have to pay for it. Now, at least for the practice purpose, when you guys are doing the lab practices, right? I would recommend don't use the elastic IPs. Why should I be using this permanent IPs, correct? So just go with the default EC2 server. Whatever the default IP that you get it, just use that IP for lab practice. If you want to try how the elastic IP works, at least one time you take it, attach it, use it, release it. You don't need to use the elastic IP every time when you are doing the lab practice, correct? Because the IP is just for login purpose. I can log in using this IP address. Even this IP gets changed, that's okay for me. I'll get new IP and I'll logging in, right? For now, there's no business running on this IP, right? That's the reason. Make sense, guys? Now, I'm trying to cover as much as possible all the different corners, guys, to get more confidence on this subject. You may be asking me now, like, how many EC2 instances that I can create, how many key pairs that I can create, how many total elastic IPs that I can create, like maximum limit, right? Can I go and create whatever I like it? No, I can't go and create hundreds of EC2 servers or hundreds of key pairs, hundreds of elastic IPs. Though you are willing to pay, but still you can't go and create whatever the number of you wanted to, guys. There is a limit created by the AWS for you, which is called as a service quota. These AWS folks are keep on changing their tabs, guys. I mean to say, let's say today you see one tab here, tomorrow it may be here or it may be somewhere else. Overall concept is same. These tabs options will be varying there and there, right? So let me see the service quota. Okay, so here you can see the service quota section, and where you can see the service quota for, let's say, EC2. Yeah, this is how you can see the service quota, guys. I mean to say, you see here AMIs, you will get 50,000 AMIs. That is the limit. Applied quota, AWS default quota, whether you can adjust the quota or not. That's how it is. Like you are eligible to have 50,000 AMIs. Okay. Somewhere you can see the elastic IPs. You are eligible to take only 5 elastic IPs. That's it. You can't take more than that, guys. That's the limit, right? Like that, anything that you are creating, there is some limit is there. Some of them are not able to change, some of them are possible to change. Let's say if you think that no, this limit is not enough for me, I wanted to have more. If that is adjustable, you can go and ask the AWS that hey, I need more than this limit. If this is not adjustable, you can't go beyond that limit, guys. That's how we need to look at this service quota. Whenever you see the limit has to be increased, let's say elastic IPs are 5, no, I need 10 IPs. Okay, you go and ask AWS that hey, I wanted to have 10 IPs, can you increase the limit? How to put a request for AWS to increase the limit? So go to this service quota request template, and here you need to fill up this form. Add a quota and fill up the form, like which region, which service. Let's say EC2. Service quota for what? Service quota for elastic IPs, right? How much you are looking for? I need 10, something like this, and click on add. Then AWS will be increasing the limit for your account, guys. That's how there is a concept of service quota limit and the way how to increase the limit as well. Are we good with this? I'll click on cancel for now. Any idea, guys, why the AWS is putting this limit and I need to go and ask the limit increase? No? Yes? Not about the IP address, right? The limit is for every resource, not just for IP. Anything that you are creating, there is some limit is there. Even the limit is there for volumes, instances, any volume like key pairs. Everywhere there is some limit is there. We just need to go and increase the limit if you are really going beyond that limit. The reason is, let's say what is the case if your AWS account is being hacked by someone else? Got me? Someone else hacked your account. Whoever hacked your account, right? They will go and create 1,000 EC2 servers just like that. What's the impact now? AWS data center, AWS has to create some 1,000 servers, right? That means what? If someone is really misusing the AWS account and they are putting some robots to create thousands of resources just like that using some automation scripts, it will, it will go and create a lot of mess for AWS case, right? To avoid that, they have put some limit. If you really wanted to have more, just go and increase the limit. You got me what I'm trying to? Good. We are touching base with a lot of different things, guys. Well, now, yeah, unfortunately, more of theoretical concepts initially. Yeah, this is how AWS will be. Now let me talk about one final slide for today. So technically, right, you see these are the servers, right? So the servers are kept into AWS data centers, and that's how you are using these servers as a cloud resources. So what you do basically, you actually create a EC2 instance, right? So whenever you create a EC2 instance of type t2.micro as an example, a question for you guys. How many servers are there in AWS side as of today as per this slide? As per this presentation, how many servers are there in the AWS side? There are 3 servers, right? So these are called as a three physical servers, correct? These are three physical servers. Like AWS bought three servers, they are putting the three servers into their AWS side region data centers. That's how we need to understand just for this presentation side. So whenever you create a T2.micro type instance, you will not be getting the complete server, guys, because this physical server is of bigger capacity. Like each server may have 100 processors and 1 TB, 2 TB memory. That's how big server it is, right? You will not get T2.micro server completely. The AWS is using some kind of the virtualization technology, and what is the instance type that you have ordered, how much processor and memory that you would need for the server. Accordingly, AWS will be creating a virtual server. You got me? Like from these physical servers, AWS know how to take out one processor and 1 GB from this bigger server, and that they make it as a single virtual server, and that virtual server will be acting as a server for you, and you access and use it for your use case. Right? That means so each physical server will be divided it into number of virtual servers based on the capacity that it is having, correct? So far so good. So that means whenever you ordering a EC2 instance of your instance type, AWS know what to do. They will do some virtualization concept behind the screen. Your server is created, and by default one volume of 8 GB capacity will be attached to your server. They know how to do all of these. We don't need to worry. And finally your server is ready. You access the server using the IP, and you know pretty much configure the server for your business needs. Good. Now the thing is, whenever you order the server, you got 1 GB and 1 processor capacity. Later you realize that no, I think this capacity is not enough. I would have been got bigger capacity. My server is very slow. When I log in and doing something, it's very slowly responding. You know, right? To get a good performance, you need good compute. Maybe I need 2 GB memory and 2 processors. Now the time to think about how do I increase the instance compute capacity. Got me? Because initially you thought of 1 GB one processor would be enough, but now you are thinking that no, this is not enough. I need to go with bigger capacity. Or you might be over provisioned. You wanted to reduce the capacity to minimize the billing as well sometimes, right? Vertical scaling is the concept in AWS which will allow you to change the capacity of your running instance. How to do? Can I go and change the processor and memory, guys, of your running server? Ideally, no, right? AWS is not allowing you to, specify the processor and memory capacity just like that. Always, the processor and memory capacity can be selected using the instance type only. So, if you are looking for different capacity, you need to change the instance type. I'm saying like if more people are using the server, like performance will be delay. You think like we need a bigger server, you do this. It was T2.micro. You are changing this to T2.large as an example. Then AWS will ensure that your previous server will be replaced with a new server with bigger capacity. You see now, I got my EC2 server with 2 GB RAM and 8 processor, bigger capacity. A question for you guys at this time. Previously, it was running with the T2.micro. Now I'm changing this to T2.large, and I'm getting the different capacity. Is there any data loss, or I mean to say, is there any difference from your perspective apart from this compute size? If you closely observe this behavior, right, your volume is same, guys. That's what I'm trying to. Your hard disk is same. Previously, the hard disk was attached to 1 GB RAM and one processor server. Now the same hard disk is being attached to 2 GB RAM and 8 processor server. So as long as the hard disk is same, your data is same, you don't see any difference, guys. That's what I'm trying to explain here. At the end of the day, hard disk is the one which is storing your data, right? Your business data. Down the line, we'll definitely see what kind of the data that we are going to store in the volume. But for now, it's easy to understand, right? Hard disk is the where we are storing the data. I'm not changing that. It is just attaching to the new compute resources of server. So compute is got changed, but you don't see any difference there because the volume is still there, data is still there. It's the same volume again. Understand like this. If you are having difficulty, like you have a laptop with you, right? And your laptop is running with less memory and less processor. You go to store, ask them to change the processor and memory, right? They just put more processor, more memory, and they will give the laptop back to you. Do you think your system got changed? No. You still log into your system as usual, same data, same cap, everything is same because hard drive is not changed. Only the processor and memory got changed. Those are just a dynamic compute resources anyway. Make sense? How to do that? Let's say currently my EC2 instance is running with t2.micro. Now I want to do the change. The process is, first you need to stop the server. The process is, first you need to stop the server. I'm waiting for this to get stopped. Remember one thing, every time when I am operating on EC2 instance, this is only a compute resources. Only the compute resources will be get effective or impacted or whatever it is. That means whenever I'm referring EC2, that is talking about only the compute resources, which is processor and memory only. Now it is stopped, right? Go to actions, instance settings. You can see change instance type. Now select the instance type from the drop down, whatever the instance type that you want to. Could be higher capacity, could be lower capacity. Apply. Now the instance type is changed from micro to nano. Now again you start the server. That is the process to, you know, change the capacity vertically. Just to repeat again, whenever you are operating on the EC2 instance, that is only a compute resources. I'm not touching anything related to the storage, volumes, or hard drive, something like that. No. EC2 is just a compute. If you want to do something on storage side, I wanted to do some vertical scaling on the storage. I wanted to do some changes to my hard drive capacity. You can possible. That is different scenario altogether. We need to go to different section to do all of these guys. Got me? So when I'm operating on the EC2 server, that is only a compute resources. If you wanted to do anything for the volume storage, something like that, it is possible. That is a different section. I'll talk about those things in upcoming lectures. As of now, vertical scaling definitely need your instance should go down. You have to stop it, you have to start it. There is no other way at this time. There are few different ways to manage the things using horizontal scaling concept, but we'll talk about that later. But when I talk about vertical scaling, yes, it has to be shut down and start the server. Think of like same example. You have a laptop, your laptop is up and running. Whenever you want to replace a processor and memory with a bigger capacity, can I remove the processor and put the new processor when the server is up and running? Just a general thought, right? You can't, right? So you need to shut down your laptop, open the laptop, remove the old processor, put a new processor, and then you start it again. Same logic here as well. When you stop and start it, AWS will do the magic behind the screen and they will replace the processor and memory for you. Without shutting down, how to do is possible. That's a different concept altogether, which will be a horizontal scaling concept, which will be discussed later. Sounds interesting. Well, team, I think that's the story for today. Yes, a lot of theoretical concepts, but we have got touch base with a lot of different corners. By now, you should be having at least some good understanding about AWS EC2 with some basic stuff.